Hi there, it's Nicole here for Honeybee Stamps, and today I am using the Seasonal Sweeties stamp set to create a more spring, I guess, feeling card. This is kind of one of those cards that is great for encouragement. It could be used almost any time of the year, and I'm going to be using some awesome honeybee stencils to build my background. So really, there's not a ton of layering here. It's a fairly flat card created with stencils, one of my very, very favorite techniques. The awesome cloud stencil from the Outdoor Scene Builder is fantastic for building a cloud background. And instead of going with a traditional blue, I'm going with pinks. This definitely has the feel. I think by just changing up your greeting, you could make this a Valentine's themed or love themed card. You could change the colors to anything you wanted to. So about a third of the way up, I'm going to leave my stencil in place to kind of mask off those bottom clouds, and using an Ocean Scene Builder raise kind of stencil, I am pouncing through some fossilized amber Distress Oxide ink to create these sun rays. The feel of this card and the design of this card was very much inspired by the Honeybee Stamps Ray of Sunshine mini stamp set. The greeting very much kind of dictated what I wanted to do here. So because the greeting reads, sometimes inspiration comes from a single ray of sunshine, I wanted those sunshine rays. Once I added those sunshine rays, and you can see definitely masking where those rays kind of go into the clouds really helps with the more natural feeling. I am simply going to finish out the rest of this panel with the Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide ink and that Clouds stencil. So I'm using two different stencils from two different stencil sets, but they mix and match beautifully. You might not normally think of that Ocean Scene Builder stamp set as sun rays, but in this instance it works perfectly. I'm going to spritz my background with water from a distress sprayer. I also used Bristol Smooth cardstock as opposed to a traditional maybe smooth cardstock or something like that. I find the inks just go on this cardstock so smoothly, so beautifully. I love the effect. The distress sprayer kind of also gives that effect of maybe rain showers. With this being an encouragement type of card, kind of, look for the sunshine in those times of trials or something kind of to that effect. As I'm working, these are the kind of things that I think about, I guess. Next, I am taking the very sweet image from the Honeybee Stamps Seasonal Sweeties stamp set. This is the little girl and the dog with their umbrellas, and definitely goes with my background scene I've built so well. I stamped this image on smooth white cardstock, and then I'm going to start coloring in with Copic markers. I'm going to color in the face here and her scarf first to start with. My camera, I think you can definitely see what I'm doing a little bit, but once I got these two portions colored, I looked up and I was like, that's really far away. So I zoomed in a little bit more for the rest of the coloring. I think that hopefully that gives you a little bit closer look at the coloring of this sweet little image. I kept the color palette really simple. Other than like some neutrals for skin, hair, and the dog's fur, everything is in reds, pinks, and then a little bit of magenta for the umbrella. But everything else is reds and pinks. Two main color combinations are 27, 46, and 39, and are 81, 83, and 85. The color combinations I'm using throughout the design as I'm coloring are all listed in the upper left corner of the screen by what I'm coloring. So the hair colors are listed out, the coat colors are listed out, and hopefully that gives you a little bit better idea as I'm coloring exactly what I'm coloring and when. Here I've zoomed in. I think this makes it much easier to see up close and personal. R85 is going to be my darkest color. R81 is the lightest color on this coat. And I just went all over with that, even over the buttons. Instead of coloring around them, I knew I was going to go dark and color those in red. The red's going to go over this pink. So instead of worrying about coloring around those teeny tiny little objects, I color over them. I don't worry about that at all. And then I'll go back when I'm done coloring the coat and add in the red detail. For her boots, I decided I wanted to do something definitely not pink or red. I went with black with C6 and C9 to build up that color. When I'm completely finished and I've die cut this image, I'm going to go ahead and put a layer of either glossy accents, or I'm using Nuvo Crystal Glaze over the boots so they have that shiny patent finish. Her cute little dog is sitting here, and he even has his own umbrella, which I think is darling. I am going to color him in with some nice neutrals, E40, 43, and 44. This is one of my favorite color combinations for fur. Sometimes I'll even pull in E47 or E49 depending on what I'm coloring. He's a pretty small image. I kind of kept it easy here. Go back in with my reds and color in the little umbrella with our 27, 46, and 39. And then for her umbrella, I really wanted it to be striped to kind of alternate the colors between red, pink, and then magenta. And my light pink and magenta colors are really similar. The difference really comes in the shading colors. For pink, it's our 81, 83, and 85. For the kind of magenta-ish pinky color, it's RV52 and RV55. We're pulling in some violets, so it gives you a little bit of that purpley look, and I think it really adds a lot to this design. So they look really similar until you get those blending colors in there and get it all blended out. So here, when I add in the RV55, it definitely adds a different look and feel to that little stripe of her umbrella. I'm going to finish coloring this in. You can go over it as many times as you need to build up that color, get those exactly the way you want them to look. The image is darling as is, but if you've watched some of my videos, you know I love adding extra detail to my colored images. And this is one that's going to be perfect for that. Those umbrellas are just begging for some white pin detail. And I'm going to use the coordinating die. I did leave this part in here because I wanted to show you that some snips scissors make cutting apart these dies, especially because look at all those little pieces inside there, so much quicker. Going to just tape that in place, and then I'm running this through the Spellbinders Platinum die cutting machine. I've been using this for a couple weeks now. It die cuts like a dream. I cannot say enough great things about it. Worked fantastic. Now I'm taking my white pen and I'm going to build in that detail that really makes this image shine. So some polka dots for the dog's umbrella, then some tiny little spots or tiny polka dots on the red areas of her umbrella. And we're going to do that for all of the red areas. And that looks cute. Then for the magenta areas, we're going to add a little plaid stripe. And then the light pink areas we're just going to leave alone, but look at how much that adds to the image. It just really makes it pop. Add a few highlights here and there on her coat, her scarf, the tips of her boots. Take a black pen and we want to go in to the eyes on the dog and the girl to really make them pop. And then before I attach anything, there's a few additional details for this background. It should be all dry now from the water we spritzed on it. That kind of, I let it sit and completely air dry while I did all of my coloring. I am going to take that greeting from Ray of Sunshine, and you can either use all stamps or stamps and dies or a combination of both. There's really no right or wrong here. I personally love using the longer part of the phrase as a stamp and then using the die just as a dimensional element on the design. Where there's not a ton of dimension going on here, it just really pops. Plus, I can die die cut it out of some specialty paper, which is what I'm going to do, that I really think makes the greeting shine for this card. The rest of the greeting I stamped with VersaFine ONYX black ink. I switched this up from the black ink I use for the Copic coloring because this ink stamps crisp, black, and perfect usually the first time. I usually don't have to go over it twice. It's fantastic for getting a nice crisp greeting stamped. For the hearts, I am back to an ink that works with the alcohol ink markers, and I'm using this little trio of hearts from the Seasonal Sweeties stamp set. That's because I want to color these in with Copic markers, and after doing all the inking work and stamping the greeting, I really don't want my Copic marker to make the outline bleed, which with the VersaFine ink it would, or it has the potential to. Knowing my luck, especially with red. Red is a tricky Copic marker for me. If something's going to bleed, it is red, and I want to color in all these little hearts with my red marker. So I want to position these, and I want to make sure that I'm not positioning the hearts underneath where the sunshine die is going to go. So I'm kind of just playing around with that last little grouping, and I will figure out where I want that to go ahead and stamp that. Using a stamp press makes this so much easier, so I don't have to worry about getting it in the right place. If I need to stamp it more than once, I can do that as well. So let's go ahead and move the stamp press out of the way and color in those hearts. We're just going to grab one of the red markers that we used for coloring. This is R46, and I'm not going to do any blending. These are teeny tiny little images. One color is going to get it, and I want to color all of those in with my red marker. And you can color right over the background here. It's going to cover up the background. Inking, the inking was very light, and it's so easy to just color over that. We're going to go ahead and attach the image to the background now. We've got most of that background building done, other than for the die cut image. So we want to figure out exactly where I want her centered, or the image centered as much as possible. Looks so cute. So now we're ready to work on the die cut. And how I like to do a dimensional die cut is to take a piece of fun foam and back both sides with a piece of Stick It adhesive. This is going to make it nice and sticky. And then before I add my cardstock, or in this case glitter cardstock, I like to run this little sandwich through my die cutting machine. It ensures that the Stick It adhesive adheres to the fun foam nice and strong. Otherwise, you may have a little bit of trouble getting the backing paper or getting that adhesive stuck to the fun foam. So I just roll it through in between the cutting plates. Then I take my cardstock or glitter cardstock and put that in place. We'll just pop the die there and run it through. What I love about this die cutting machine is one pass of the machine and it die cut this perfectly. I did not have to roll it back and forth. Simply going to pop this out nice and gentle. Don't want to tear it. I'm going to use the Tool-in-One from Spellbinders to pop out any of those little areas that might be inside some of the loops of the letters. And then we want to position the die cut greeting. And the great thing about this greeting is it is made to work with the die or stamp. So it's got a space for the loop in the H in sunshine. So it kind of is a nice guide that shows you where that goes. We'll put the S in place. It's the only letter that's not attached. And then the little dot on the I actually stuck in the die when I die cut it. So I'm going to line that up, use the Tool-in-One to kind of pop that out and put that in place. And there is an awesome glittery greeting that matches the card perfectly. Isn't that so cute? I just love this image. She is so adorable. I'm going to take a white top fold card base now and cover it with some adhesive and pop my panel in place. Now I like the background as is, and if you're more of if you like the square corners, that's great. This kind of has a feminine feel, and I've been loving the look of rounded corners again lately. So I am rounding it with a 1/2 inch corner rounder. And it just softens the whole design. I think it goes really nicely with the cloud stenciling in the background. I am ready to add those finishing touches. We're going to go over the hearts first with Nuvo Crystal Glaze. It dries completely clear, much like glossy accents. So I'm going over the hearts. That's going to give them a beautiful glossy finish when they are completely dry. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm also going to go over her boots so that they have that black patent rain boot type of look. And she's kind of appears to be standing in the clouds. That's the look I was going for with this design. One last thing, I'm going to take some Nuvo Crystal Drops in Rosewater. It is a pink translucent color, so it's not going to be opaque. It's going to have some nice translucent look to it. You can kind of see some of the background through it. It's not going to dry real dark. And I'm going to add a few additional raindrops throughout the design to finish off the card. The Nuvo Crystal Drops are going to need to completely dry and harden for 24 hours before you try to mail the card. Otherwise, you could smash the crystal drops. Thanks for joining me today for this pink love or encouragement themed card featuring the Honeybee Stamps Seasonal Sweeties and Ray of Sunshine stamps and the Outdoor Scene Builder and Ocean Scene Builder stencils. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.